Well, let's stay with matters finance and specifically the economy. And Treasury CS Ukur Yatani has today disputed media reports that Kenya is seeking a fourth Eurobond loan, promising that a strategy is in place to move from commercial borrowing to concessional loans with lower interest rates. He also placed Kenya's GDP or debt to GDP ratio as well below 60%, whilst IMF and other bodies place Kenya's ratio at 59.9% and rising. I spoke to him on his debt strategy and the state of the economy. What is the state of our economy right now?
I want to assure you the economy is strong and resilient. If you want to look at what are the parameters...
Your predecessor used the same words.
No. Let me
give us a few more details.
Maybe the reason as why you are seeing some changes is because we decided to address certain matters that has been on the discussion for a long time. Just to address them head on and say, let's not postpone, but address it. And which are these? The issue of the interest capping. The desire to limit it was a good idea. But have the banks responded? The idea was to enable the private sector to borrow at a reasonable interest so that they can now engage in the growth of the economy by investing, creating employment, creating opportunities, raising taxes. But has that been achieved?
Analysts opine that the government is the one to blame for that. The government is the one borrowing from the local market, denying...
That's not the only reason.
But it's one of the reasons.
Well, you can argue that way. But, let me tell you, if you look at the prevailing interest rate, they might have been capped at 10 or even more. But right now, the Treasury bills are 6.4% interest. Last year, around this time, was at 7.7. Why is it not... and nobody has capped it at 6.4, 7.4. That's an indication that the banks are not loaning. Instead, I think they have come up with clever ways of trying to earn more income through charging you for withdrawal, online withdrawal, and very many other things. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yes.
But I want to tell you the economy, the parameters of the economy. Last year, our economy grew at 6.3%. This year, we are projecting to grow at 5.7%. 2017, it grew at about 4.9. So you can see, and you compare this in the region, where are we? In the south, Africa south of Sahara, the growth is at 3%. And globally, their global average is 3.6. Where are we?
Let me nevertheless...
So we are there. But also one other important indicator...
Yes, please, and I want to bring you
inflation.
Back to Kenya. Okay.
Our inflation rate is at 3.8. Last year, around this time, was 5.7%. So you see, and one of the most important indicators to look at is also the exchange rate. Once there's volatility in the exchange rate, then it becomes very difficult and unpredictable for both exporters and importers, and it becomes put a lot of strain on the reserve at the central bank.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, for the last for the last few years, it's been around 103, 102, 1. So it's been very stable. This is one other indicator that we look at.
Moving forward, from your office, what sort of loans will you be looking for? That's where I want to wrap up.
We have a matter in Senate now. We have already processed through the National Assembly, and we are happy because they also understood our position. We said we wanted to, increase our debt ceiling, not to borrow, but just as a target, because annual borrowing will be based and it can only be at the approval of the National Assembly through budget. It's not about that, we want to raise 90 trillion and we are going to now have all that money, to borrow the remainder of the balance. No. That is our target, and we have put our target for the next 6-7 years. But annually, if we have to borrow, then we are going to come to the National Assembly, and it can only be done the approval of the National Assembly. So the misconception that we want to borrow and going to bloat the economy is really not the position.
Okay.
That is one.
Okay.
Number two, part of the measures that we want to put in place is that we've realized our debt portfolio can be better. Because we have bilateral, we have commercial, we have multilateral.
Loans.
And the multilateral loans are reasonable. They give us good grace period, longer repayment time, and low interest rate. And that's the direction we want to go.
So that's the direction you're promising Kenyans you are taking them?
A few areas where we have actually, bilateral loans or commercial loans, with high interest rate, shorter repayment period, we want to restructure this. But you know, Rome was not built in a day, and we are not going to tell you that we are going to do all this year.
So it will take time.
But we have a program, and we are already engaged in engagement with a number of multilateral organizations that are willing to uptake this loan.
So in
exchange for, you know, longer multilateral, longer time, but very reasonable interest rate, as low as even 0.7.
So with a yes or no response, fourth Eurobond on the cards, yes or no?
There's no plan to have another Eurobond at the moment.
Thank you. Well, you've heard it from the CS's mouth himself.